In This Week in Science, we are talking tech and tantrums. It is tempting for parents to hand over a smartphone or tablet when your child is, like middle of a meltdown. But a new study says this short-term fix has long-term consequences. For more on this, let's bring in Dan Riskin, CTV Science and Technology Specialist. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm the guy, all the parents are going to be like, oh, come on, I don't want to hear this right now, because cell phones, tablets, it's like the easiest thing in the world to get your kid to leave you alone for a second so you can get whatever you're trying to get done. But this new study sort of puts it in a different light.
Yeah, so let's talk about this study. It was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics. What can you tell us about what it found?
Yeah, well, so 422 parents and their kids, and these are young kids under the age of 6. And basically, it's how much time does your kid spend on a device, and then how does it go when they're having a meltdown? How frequently do those meltdowns happen? And basically, the take-home message of this is that when your kid is having a hard time regulating their emotions, and you give them a device to calm them down, you take away from them the learning experience of how to deal with your emotions. And so they don't build the skills that they need to deal with the next one. And so then you get more and more dependent on this device, and you end up with a kid that's harder and harder to handle, which isn't fair to you as the parent and also isn't fair to the kid. And so the advice from these pediatricians is there are other ways you can calm a kid down. They're harder than handing them a cell phone or a tablet, but they're a better long-term investment in the kid's development.
And I was trying to explain to my kids the other day about how we didn't have that option. Like, there was no option. Like, what did my parents do? Like, there was no option.
Right. In my day, we didn't have these fancy phones, and we liked it. Yeah, exactly.
I know, I'm that person now. Okay, so what does this dysregulation look like, and why does too much tech cause it?
Yeah, so emotional dysregulation is exactly what it sounds like. It's you just can't regulate your emotions. So it's more frequent meltdowns, it's bigger behavioral swings, bigger emotional swings. And I mean, that's normal. A kid that's between the ages of 3 and 5 is working that stuff out, right? I mean, a lot of grown-ups I know are still working that out. So when you're between those ages, you're learning how to deal with these emotional swings. And so having that device right in front of you takes that away. And by the way, this is these data were collected before the pandemic. And so, if anything, this is just more of a reality for parents and kids.
I think about pre-pandemic, my kids didn't even know what YouTube was, and we felt like we were doing such a good job. Honestly, like Drew and I were like, they're unfamiliar with how to navigate around, and then cut to now, and I mean, they're basically building web pages, and I'm like,
I know, and what I don't want to do is pick on parents, right? I mean, I am a parent, which is part of the reason I don't want to pick on us, but like it's been an unfair couple of years, right? We've all been pushed to the limit, and I have sympathy for parents. You're not a bad parent for your kid having a little bit of screen time, but this is a reminder that, when it's possible, we can help our kids by getting them off those screens and giving them other tools to deal with those big emotions. Yeah,
and when we talk about developmental years, the preschool and kindergarten ages, they're just such an important period of time. And why so? Why specifically those ages?
Yeah, I mean, this is really where those emotions come online and where they're learning to sort of shut that whole thing down. Before the ages of, between 3 and 5, which is the study they're looking at here, you're just, when you start crying, and when it goes away, it goes away. But as you get into those ages right before you're starting school, you're starting to learn how to deal with those emotions and maybe not let them be the boss anymore, right? And so this is a powerful time, and there are a lot of things that parents can give their kids besides a device to help them figure out that stuff. So, for example, sensory techniques, right? Like take your kids and give them something to do that gets their senses going. Give them something to squeeze, give them something to punch or hug or jump on, to help them get those big feelings out in physical ways, and other things like that. Naming emotions when you're feeling them, giving them a name and talking about them. These are the kinds of things that you can do with kids that sort of give them an outlet that isn't just, forget about it, I'll look at what's happening on the screen.
Great suggestions. It is fascinating. Dan, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.